I'm meant to be in Asia. Like, they just know us here.
Steam. Wait, that's so good.
Whoa.
Yeah, it has like such a umami flavor to it.
Good.
It's so good, right?
It's so good. Getting our protein in this morning.
하지만 눈을 뜨자마자 느낀 설레임 blossom 향기로운 달콤한 햇볕에 노인거리는 꽃 같아 다 보고 싶지 않는데 알아도 싶지.
We spent the rest of our time in Tokyo doing lots of eating and shopping, literally eating until our stomachs could not take any more, then going on digestive walks around the city to explore. Really the true Wood family way to travel. One thing about Tokyo that I always remember is the food quality, and for such reasonable prices. Everything is so incredibly affordable. This breakfast we had was only $7. Can you believe it? It came with rice, salmon, soup, and side dishes. It made me feel like I was at home. Growing up, rice would always be our base for meals. Then we had a soup, a protein, and veggies on the side. Small things that came together to make a complete, hearty meal. Another thing I enjoyed on this trip was visiting all the local shops, this coffee shop in particular. It was so well done, from the decor and the furnishings, to the energy and kindness the barista had towards us as soon as we stepped in. It was a nice moment spent to gather ourselves for the rest of the day. At this coffee shop, I remember seeing a group of elderly women coming together to learn how to assemble flower bouquets. It was a sweet sight to see and showed a little bit of the collectivist culture here in Japan. Everywhere we went had a community feel, everyone was looking out for one another and being considerate of those around them. This is the one thing I loved most. It felt as if there was a mutual understanding amongst everyone. The understanding that we're all in this world together, so why not look out for one another? Another highlight in Tokyo was the sushi belt. Sushi belts in America can be quite mid, but this one blew my mind. The quality of the fish was so good, so buttery, and so fresh. I'll honestly be dreaming about this until further notice. My mom was pretty tired this night. That's why you don't see her here with us. But just looking back on this trip and seeing Linda and Chris makes my heart so warm. I feel like spending this time with them was so special, and they are my favorite people. So I was happy I was able to experience all these little moments with them. One of the last things we did in Tokyo was visit TeamLab, which is an immersive art exhibit. This was such a unique experience. I highly recommend if you're in Japan. You walk through different rooms that have different themes. Here you'll see some footage of some of the rooms we visited. One of the first things we did in Osaka was hit up the local grocery store. I used to make fun of my parents for visiting grocery stores while on vacation, but as an adult, I thoroughly enjoy it myself. You get to see what the locals eat, the kinds of food and snacks they offer, usually things I can't get at home. The store specifically had everything. We came here multiple times: snacks, drinks, sushi, matcha, seafood, you name it. But the thing I loved most was the oranges. If you're ever in Japan, please do not miss out on buying fruit. The oranges I had here were so sweet and juicy, nothing like I've ever experienced in the States. A memorable meal I had in Osaka was at an okonomiyaki spot. I would describe these as a thick, savory pancake packed with so much flavor and drizzled with a sweet and tangy sauce. I've only had these frozen from the store, and even then, they were bomb. But y'all, this meal was to die for. The chef and his wife were the only two working the shop. It was a smaller, intimate space, and they cooked right in front of us. We also got an order of yakisoba noodles, which I can never pass up. Your girl loves noodles. The okonomiyaki was so fresh and delicious, crispy on the outside, fluffy and packed with flavor and protein on the inside. Truly a dream. Okay, can we quickly talk about the weather, because holy cow, it was so cold in Japan. You see me wearing sweaters with my black thermal almost every day. This thermal is actually heat tech, so yeah, it was that cold. I regret bringing anything else besides my sweaters. So a reminder to anyone visiting during the January and February months, prioritize warm layers. You won't regret it. We spent the rest of our time in Osaka exploring and thrifting. At this point, we were also getting the hang of public transportation, but also shout out to Google and Papago for getting us through this trip. I didn't find much thrifting, but it was fun to look around at all the designer that was at the thrift stores. This was something that I always heard about and finally got to experience. After Osaka, Chris and I parted ways from Linda and my mom and headed to Hakuba for snowboarding.
Dang, this is so pretty.
Please sit in the seat
Why are you looking at it like that?
We didn't get much footage while snowboarding since we wanted to be a little more present and didn't want to worry too much about filming. But after 2 days of snowboarding, we headed back to Tokyo before we traveled back home to the States. We spent these 2 days doing a lot of walking around the city and eating, of course. I had one thing on my have to try list going to Japan, and that was Japanese pancakes. So that's exactly what we did. And let me tell you, it was epic. These were not too sweet. They were fresh and fluffy. Pretty much any compliment you can give to an Asian dessert, you can give to this pancake because it was perfection. Our last and final meal in Japan was unadon, which is eel over rice. We waited almost 2 hours for this spot, but it was worth every single minute. I mean, look at the size of this eel. It was insane. Chris and I got 2 orders thinking we would finish it, but we ended up taking enough food for a whole nother meal back with us to the hotel. I really enjoyed having some time to ourselves this trip. Traveling always inspires me and allows me to see the world in new ways. We live in such a bubble that is the United States. It's a privilege to be able to pop that bubble every now and then and experience new things like this. I'm so grateful I'm in the position that I am, where I can make trips like this happen with the people I care about most. So cheers to making more memories this year. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I'll see you in the next one.